we're at.
All right, so up top, we still have the king of the tournament so far, Chris Patello, undefeated at 10-0-1. And then we have 4 other players here at X&1 as well. Now, these players, with what? We have round 12, 13, 14, 15, 4 rounds left. If they win this, it pretty safely is a win and in for the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
I think
yes.
4 losses, is kind of that sweet spot that we've seen before. It's not always the same, but that kind of can be a win and in and get you locked in for the Pro Tour. So we have Izzet, Mono Red, and Orzhov Demon. So still a pretty diverse top there. And then we have Zachary Keeney. I've commentated matches from Zachary where he is EXO at a Pro Tour going into the last round. And he looks the same as when he's playing one of these matches. He's a very calm, cool, collected player. We also have Connor Mullally down at the bottom there at 9-2. Let's take a look at the next page and see what we got cooking here. Jim, any notable names here?
We saw Peter yesterday in 17th place. That was round 2?
Yeah.
Love seeing the progression. You kind of forget. Oh yeah, that was round 1 or 2, but that was still in this tournament.
Yeah.
And we got Logan Mize, SCG grinder from back in the day. We also got Rob Cedar still. Rob, oh my God. Rob is another draw.
Oh my God, he's done it.
Yeah, but still a record at 8-1-2. Still in the hunt for sure. So a lot of great players here, and still a lot of work to do.
And I guarantee Rob Cedar's deck, his cards are just completely beat up. Mm-hmm. They always are. He plays so much Magic with the same kind of cards, so gotta love it. Big Rob fan. So let's take a look at the deck list as we get ready for our feature match. And oh my goodness, it's Dimir Midrange. Walk us through this one quickly, Jim.
So I'm excited here because this is the deck we've been talking about that's actually been doing quietly really, really well, both in this event and events leading up to it.
Yeah.
Kind of a classic deck. Nothing too crazy here. Deep Cavern Bat into Enduring Curiosity, into Kaido. Kind of leveraging the fact that these black cards are great in this format. Preacher and Shield are very hard to kill. A lot of great removal spells. And this is going to be a big test because it is a little weak into Corey Steelcutter.
It is.
But it is very, very good elsewhere. So if you can have a decent enough matchup against the best deck and beat everyone else, that is a great place to be in a tournament.
Well, let's just hope Dylan's not playing against Izzet. Let's take a look at Dylan's opponent, and oh crap, it's Izzet. Logan Mize playing Izzet Prowess, Jim.
Yeah, this is the test, and I think that the Drake catchers here kind of like catch a little bit of a flack where they're good in the damage-based removal mirrors.
Yeah.
They're not so good when your opponents go for the throat. No deflection stuff too. So, and they also can't provide that kind of surprise burst damage or setup that Slickshot Show-Off can.
Yeah.
Where you can just plot the Show-Off, kind of wait and find a good opening later and then tap out for a demon. You can bounce it or whatever. So a little less playability there. But yeah, it's still cutter or bust here, I think.
Cool.
I think if Logan gets a cutter in play, going to be in great shape. Without the cutter, I think the black deck is favored.
Okay, sweet. Let's check it out and head right down into the feature match. It's round 12 here at the U.S. Regional Championship. Let's go and check it out, see who can take this one down. All right, Logan Mize at the bottom. Played against him many, many, many times. And then we have Dylan Morgan up top. She's on Dimir Midrange. Going to do some crushing here with it. Has been all weekend with a record of 9-2. And Logan Mize starting it up with the talent.
Yeah, the Dimir Midrange deck did take down the Australia Regional Championship. So it is definitely, that was, I believe, last weekend. So, kind of on the up and up here a little bit. Definitely fell off for a while, but of course we always see that circular nature of Standard where things kind of go away and then they are good for a while and then, oh yeah, now they're actually kind of good again.
Yep, absolutely. And players are adjusting. I got a glimpse. That was 2 Monstrous Rage and a Swift Spear. So, I mean, Swift Spear, Monstrous Rage here, unless Logan top decked, some opt or something. Maybe you would rather do that. But you also just kind of want to get your damage in when you can.
Yeah, I think it is important with these rages against these decks playing a lot of removal spells, especially when they're going to be leaving mana up often for these flash threats.
Yeah.
Take your shots.
Yep.
Get your damage in, There is obviously some life gain in the Dimir deck with Shielder and stuff, but kind of want to just get it done.
Yep, absolutely. And now, what do you put the Rage on? We're going to see it on the Swift Spear, but do you have any other thought? I would lean to put it on the less exciting creature. You know, just thinking of cut down is what I would be doing. I would put it on the Otter. Am I wrong there, or is Logan wrong?
It's close. Cut down is the major consideration.
Yeah.
But not relevant here.
And it's only one extra toughness, so it truly isn't that big of a deal.
Right,
But
where any one prowess will be through cut down anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could spread it out here.
So minor either way.
It's very close, yeah.
And I do love how we see from Dylan, she's playing 3 duress in the main. I feel like that's where Dimir has to go. You know, like you need to have that card on the play or the draw. You can deal with Corey Steelcutter. So I like that inclusion. I think it's just kind of needed against the card that's just so good against you.
Strong agree. Yeah. Spell Pierce and Duress being able to break serve on the draw against Cutter is extremely important.
Yeah.
You know, when you're playing Dimir, you know, you really don't have many, if any, ways to get Cutter off the battlefield, and especially not permanently.
Yeah.
You know, the ways would often be bouncing it, which is not great, and there aren't any in this list because it's just not great. So sidestep that, try and get rid of it before it either enters the battlefield by discarding it or countering it, and then, you know, if you can get that part of the sub-game out of the way, all these kill spells end up looking really good against the pretty light threat base of the Izzet deck.
Totally agree. Yeah, if your opponent's spinning their wheels, drawing cards, you got Kaido and Curiosity to, you know, punish them for taking that line. And if your opponent's just, you know, casting creatures, Swift Spear, Otters, you just kill them. So I like that approach. The only thing she can't deal with is the Corey Steelcutters. So having that on lockdown is great. So one other thing from Logan, we know there's another Monstrous Rage here. So this is already looking like he could be presenting, you know, close to lethal or lethal if we have another follow-up spell here, Jim.
Yeah, a double rage draw on the play. You know, what makes this deck so good is this, where even in the deck playing a lot of removal spells and stuff like that too, you can't play a kill spell every turn. You know, we need to do so Duress, a little setup here on the Spyglass Siren as far as wanting to find another land maybe. And if there's just a rage explosion here, sure, but this is obviously very good too.
Yeah. So just goes for the Corey Steelcutter, almost assuredly found it off Opt. And, hey, it's not that safe in your hand with Duresses in the main. It's safe as on the battlefield, even if it's not, you know, being activated on this turn. So what do we got? We got an attack here for 4 from the Swift Spear and 3 from the Otter.
Yeah, 7's a lot, you know, and I like this play a lot. You know, not trying, understanding that, listen, like you're saying, Cutter's safer in play. Just get this thing down. I'm already in good shape on the board. But if things start to go haywire, I have this Cutter, and I can start grinding.
And if you Monstrous Rage here, I feel like if Dylan's at 2 or 5, it's pretty close. So I think Monstrous Rage should only have been cast there if, number 1, there was nothing else to do, and number 2, if it kills your opponent.
Yeah, and now Dylan's in a lot of trouble because not really beating the board, assuming there's literally any spell to cast, which I'm sure there is. And, you know, obviously has access to some removal spells here, you know, cut down, go for the throat. If we were to see a double kill spell here, that'd be kind of nice. But one of the issues with cut down in a matchup like this is how awkward it plays against Prowess and Monstrous Rage, where you put yourself in a spot where if you cast a cut down, and we see spells in response, or if spells have already been cast, you're forced to cast it at an awkward time. So it is kind of almost like, you know, a burst lightning in that respect, where it's unusual for a black removal spell to be constrained by toughness.
If I was Logan, I would deduce from how Dylan has played this game that there is not a cut down. There's no way she is not cutting down my Swift Spear with a Monstrous roll while I'm tapped out. That's the deduction I would have in my brain, so I would use that knowledge, you know, for this turn. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be an Annoyed, it can't be a Go for the Throat, but I would deduce that that one specific card is not there.
I strongly agree.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to, okay, well, what other 1-mana card can Dylan pair with their removal spell? Because I agree. Very, very likely there's a Go for the Throat or Anoint here.
Yeah.
Spell Pierce is the only other 1-mana card that can come into play here. So could be a possibility. I think that some combo of multiple cards here is probably going to be likely, although Logan just taking a super low-key approach to his turn.
Yeah, give that Otter a sword.
It's pretty rare to see an equip this early in the game.
Yep. Okay, so it is the Drowner to tap one of these down, and if I'm Logan, I'm still Monstrous Raging here. I'm not going to be afraid of cut down at all for the reasons I just mentioned.
I actually love this play.
Yeah.
So what Logan has done is Logan has simply given trample to each creature. I guess the rage does it also.
Yeah.
But like, and now both creatures are threatening it by themselves. Force the action, like you're saying. Cut down unlikely. Let's tap out of any other interaction and then go for a rage.
So now the rage would, you don't get a second roll, so it would just be +3, right? So it'd be 5 power.
Yes.
So that would, and it's already got 3 toughness, so it's going to 4 toughness. So a double block here actually looks pretty good for Dylan.
Yeah, it's serviceable.
Yeah.
It's not the best exchange ever, but get some creatures dying. We got a little bit of damage going through. The problem is the cutter's still in play.
Yeah.
And if we get into a spot where Dylan's at, 2 life or whatever with his cutter in play, eventually the monk's going to pile up, assuming Dylan can find some, Logan can find some gas here. Yeah, nice little jockeying for position here.
Yeah, this is not an obvious attack from Logan, even with the face-up Monstrous Rage. Monstrous Rage is known to both player from that duress early on. And if I'm Logan here, I don't think I actually want to attack. It feels so bad, but I don't want to just 2-for-1 myself, or excuse me, 2-for-2 myself with these 2 creatures. I want to save that Monstrous Rage to pair it with one other spell and get the value off the monk. So I love this no attack from Logan, and I loved exactly what Dylan did, tapping down the Otter here. If you tap down the other side, sure, now the Otter is going up to 4 toughness. It would still be the case. It would just be a little extra damage. It'd be 1 extra damage because of the roll, I guess. It's pretty similar either way, but
yeah, the roll,
either way, I liked it.
Roll or the cutter.
Yeah.
Ooh. And this is, Kaido is one of the most powerful cards in the entire format. But it doesn't line up as well against the more aggressive decks.
No.
So this is a card that is great. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
But you can see why here it is kind of awkward. It can stun some stuff, but it's kind of hard to keep in play when you're under pressure like this.
I like that every dice that these players have chosen has been the incorrect one. Love it.
Is it black stun counters?
It's black and stun, but it started off with the white ones in there. Yep. Planeswalkers should be black counters.
Corey, I can solo for a bit if you want to go down there and set things right.
I'm on my way. Yeah. Ah, there we go. We got it. Judge is on top of it. I'm the exact same way when I'm gaming. A dice is a dice. That's all my broadcast pickiness, I will say.
I'll be picky here that Logan just untapped the monster roll, but the cutter is still tapped. And
all right, I'll solo this. You go talk to Logan,
all
okay?
Right, Logan, we got to have a chat here.
Take these players aside and give them a lecture here, Jim.
If there was a tangle wire in play, this would really matter.
Oh, yeah?
Anyone, tangle wire?
No.
Educate yourself.
All right, so starting it off here, what are we going to do? Starting off with a torch. Now the Otter is still tapped as well. Here is 1 mana, and it is a Spell Pierce.
Wow, we're
cheeky.
We're playing some 40 chess over here. I love this. I love a Spell Pierce when the other person can pay for it.
Yeah. So now we're Monstrous.
Oh, wow.
Had the other one. Okay, I was going to say just Monstrous Rage here was not enough. So that Spell Pierce wouldn't have mattered anyways if you do it at any other way.
Right. So the blocker's dead, and then attack, Spell Pierce, 1 rage, other rage gets through.
Don't even need the other rage.
The prowess triggers do it too, yeah. So.
All right, so that was game 1 going to Izzet Prowess. As we kind of expect, we do think this is a solid matchup here for Logan, and kind of the matchup Dylan, she doesn't really want to walk into. But what are we sideboarding from her side?
So a few more kill spells. Dreams of Steel and Oil, just kind of adding on to that duress count of like, I need to get rid of this cutter before it happens. Honestly, on the play, Negate looks pretty nice too.
Yeah.
Maybe even Exhale, just waste the counter on the play. It really, really just comes down to cutter. That game was a little more aggressive, and Dylan's draw was a little slower, so we saw some of just like the Prowess, an aggro draw. But the Prowess decks historically have always had trouble with decks with lots of spot removal.
Yeah.
Because they are by nature threat light, because so much of a deck has to be air. It has to be cantrips and spells to kind of get your prowess things going. So typically, prowess decks have struggled into these removal spell decks, and what makes Cutter such a good card is that it flips the script there. It's a card that's naturally good in the prowess deck, and then specifically good against removal spells, kind of shoring up that weakness. So it is of paramount importance for Dylan to find some way to keep Cutter off the battlefield.
Yep, totally agree. And then from Logan's side, how does he close out this match in a good matchup here?
So we see Fire Annihilation. We've seen the absolute variety pack of 5 damage spells from all of our Izzet players. 6 of one, half a dozen the other, but a very important card here to be able to kill the larger creatures. Preacher of a Schism, Shieldred. It actually also exiles Enduring Curiosity, which is kind of nice. So it kills that and exiles it. Otherwise, it's not really too much. I mean, the barrages are okay. They kill Deep Cavern Bats, I suppose. Not much else, though. There's not much to do here, honestly, I think. I mean, Spell Pierce can be kind of nice as a way to kind of defend your cutters, where you can go for a cutter, maybe try and counter it. You can Spell Pierce or a key kill spell at a key moment. But for the most part, I think Logan's just kind of doing the same stuff, making sure he can answer larger creatures, but just find a cutter, get it in play.
So, Jim, I have a confession to make, and, I hate to admit this, but sometimes, Magic's the greatest game in the world, but sometimes I don't always want to play Magic. Like, I have other hobbies. I have one other hobby, really. And it's just playing a lot of Final Fantasy, man. It is just my absolute favorite game. Oh, come on. Don't jump the graphic here. I was getting a good long setup here. But, I want to just combine those two loves. Where could I do it? I don't know. Our director ruined it. It deflated me. Just pre-order now at starcitygames.com/MTG-FIN. Let's get back to the match.
Get wrecked, Corey. Pre-order Final Fantasy now.
Man, Jim, will you do me a solid and grab this knife out of my back real quick that the director placed?
I'm enjoying it.
All right, fair enough. No, it's going to be a great set, though. I'm excited.
Listen, when they make a Legend of Zelda Secret Lair, all right, then we can talk.
You're all about it?
We'll have some fun.
Okay. Hey, we each have a love for oversized swords through a role-playing kind of game. So I feel like we still got some common ground here, even if, I played a lot of Super Smash Bros. I didn't play a lot of Zelda.
Sure. Yeah. The Goron blade.
Yeah.
Right?
No, what?
Chat knows.
Okay.
Yep.
That's something I should know?
I mean, if you never played Ocarina of Time,
yeah,
I don't know how to continue our relationship.
So I did play the last Legend of Zelda game, the one that has that huge open world for PlayStation. Yeah. And honestly, I think this is where I love Final Fantasy, more than a game like that, is I need some direction. If the world's that big, I get overwhelmed. Like, I'll start playing and I'm like, what can I do? I can do anything. And then it's like, oh no, I can do anything. I don't know what to do,
Most old Zelda games are more directive.
Yeah, definitely. But that one overwhelmed me,
I adore that game. So.
Okay. Give me some turn-based fighting, though. Give me into Final Fantasy.
Action. Attack button, jump, sword combat. You're crazy.
All right, to each his own. But, hey, on the bright side, we both love Magic.
That's true.
Yeah, all right.
That's true.
Players getting ready. Dylan Morgan on the play. Both of these players at 9-2. And you notice a big difference from the feature match area from yesterday and today. Two, I'm sure, very friendly human beings here. Not right now. There's too much on the line. When you get to 9-2 right now, does your demeanor change when you're in a situation like this, or are you still kind of the same old Jim all the time?
It's funny. My wife always comments on how angry and mean I look when I play Magic.
Same.
And people will walk by a match and be like, "Oh, it's Jim. What's he so mad about?"
Yeah.
And then after a match, I'm just like, "Hey, what's going on, everyone? How's it going?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I got my serious face on whenever I'm playing all the time.
Same.
So try and keep it even kill. You want to keep a good poker face, good even all the time kind of thing.
I'm the exact same way, and it's not because I'm ever mad when I'm playing. It's like Magic's just such a hard game. You have to be so mentally focused all the time that I've had those moments where I'm lax, laissez-faire with my opponent, and then I make a loose mistake or whatever, and I'm like, I need to be focused, I traveled to this location. I built a deck, I tested. I want to make sure I maximize my tournament every single time. So when I get to these situations, I'm not chatty. I'm not chatty at all, to be honest.
It's fun to watch, too, because some players are like that.
Yeah.
You know, some players, you have to kind of find...
Corey Burkhart, for instance.
Yeah, you kind of find the table presence that works for you.
Yeah.
Someone like Osip back in the day.
Yeah.
Phenomenal Pro Tour champion. He will chat you up and down, and he is not just being friendly. He is getting an advantage.
Yeah.
You know, he is kind of reading off your cues, your body language, how you respond to what he's saying, you know. Some gamesmanship there, of course, as well. So kind of fun watching how different players handle situations like this.
I'm never chatting back to Osip if he tries to talk to me in a game of Magic ever again.
That is very smart.
I'm not letting him in my head. Same with Paul Ritzel, just Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players ever. Like, he's just such a nice guy, and I don't know, I've always just looked up to him too. Like, I think he's just an incredible player and just an incredibly smart human being. So, like, he's a chatty-ish player too. And so I'll be playing against him, and I'll just want to chat, and then I'm like, I think he is gaining some stuff as well.
Well, speaking of gaining stuff here, Dylan has the ideal turn one play. The duress, more importantly, hitting the cutter.
Yes.
And, leaving Logan with a okay hand. Not
it was
great.
pretty bad. We just drew the talent, though, right? Like, that was the card we drew.
Yes.
Otherwise, it was very medium. So we have at least 3 lands. There's Into the Flood Maw and one other card.
I was just waiting for Logan to slam a cutter there.
Yeah. Yeah. that would just be devastating. But now this will come to the spot like, okay, does Logan draw something to catch up, stock up, something like that? And here's the thing that these Dimir decks make you do, and that is play your removal at sorcery speed because, well, if Kaido ever ninjutsus, you're in such a rough spot. So sometimes nothing you can do. Duress is going to come down. It's at least going to hit into the Flood Maw. And I can't quite tell what that other card is.
It was a stock up. It's now in the graveyard.
Okay. I was trying to decipher what the card on the left was.
Yeah.
Well, the only card that was drawn enters the graveyard. So, oh my goodness, these were all-star Duresses.
Dylan is sharpshooting here.
Yeah.
She is just sniping the best card twice in a row on Duress, which is exactly what she needs to get this game past the point where those early cards matter and really get her engines online.
Yeah, absolutely. Here is an opt drawn off the top. So great draw. I mean, amazing.
That being said, this Izzet deck has a lot of redundancy, a lot of cantrips, a lot of card draw. Can find that second cutter. There's pressure on Dylan to apply some pressure and not just wait around for the next cutter.
Makes sense. Drake Hatcher hits the battlefield, so we know Logan has nothing but lands and Into the Flood Maw. So Dylan knows that information as well. So what's she going to do with it? Mana base is not amazing for Dylan, we'll say so far, as she has a little bit of stumbles with a Pain Land, and then the Verge still basically able to cast anything.
Is that 2 Pain Lands?
No, it looks like 1 Pain Land and 2 Verges. So this would scream to me the classic, 4th land, go, I have nothing.
Shucks.
Dang it. Collected Company or Enduring Curiosity here in this scenario would be something that I would have on my mind for Logan. But Logan also just doesn't have to care that much about a Curiosity, as you can at least bounce it to start. And we get in there if Dylan doesn't do any kind of flash effects. The one thing that Logan has available here, and thanks to this talent being such an amazing draw, is level it up, get a stock up back.
Yeah, that is big game. The talent is a card that gives this Izzet deck a little more oomph when it comes to the mid game. Where if that initial flurry is answered, you kind of just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, Storm Chaser's talent is interesting because that level 2 mode for a very long time in Standard was, I'm going to get back this town's going to bounce this, you're going to bounce one of your things, and you're going to keep that loop going forever. It's more used as design in this deck. Like, the level 2 comes up, the level 3 never comes into play, very rarely. But hey, Logan did not use his mana there. Is that strange to you?
Yes. With Flood Maw in hand, there isn't really much great to Flood Maw. You can't Flood Maw. I guess it can bounce the Sanctuary to stop like a Kaido, but you don't want to spend 4 mana on a Flood Maw. By doing this, you are defending yourself a little bit, but you're really overspending. whereas that mana could have been spent, and the next turn could have been stock up and Floodmaw.
What would this tell you about Logan's hand if I was in Dylan's seat? What kind of alarm bells would be going off? That there's got to be more than Into the Floodmaw? Or what is my opponent afraid of by not leveling up? I think that's another thing.
Yeah, something's going on. I mean, there's the 5 damage spell. I mean, we know Logan had one unknown card, right? It was the Floodmaw, then the card drawn.
Floodmaw, card drawn, yep. And it should be land 5, I believe, as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, Annihilation might play here. Maybe we had the bit of a game of, like, this looks like an Enduring Curiosity.
Okay.
And Annihilation would be a phenomenal response to that, killing it cleanly with the Exile. So maybe Dylan wants to wait and not get annihilated. Logan wants to make sure he leaves it up. So you have a bit of song and dance of removal spells of, like, not only removal spells, but the right removal spell. You want to try and get your opponent to use the Annihilation on the 3/3 land in play. And then you play a Preacher or a Shield or a Curiosity, some other thing. So a lot of jockeying for position here. Much different game than game 1, where, like, game 1 was just, gas in the pedal, let's go. This is more of a calculated, I'm going to try and resolve my important threats game.
Makes sense, and none of them are more important than the Corey Steelcutter. That comes down. The Otter's got 3 power. The Drake Hatcher has 3 powers. We also know about Into the Floodmaw. So now blocks are a little trickier for Dylan.
Yeah, and again, Resolved Cutter, once it's in play, Dylan can't really remove it. So now Dylan needs to kind of, like, change how she's playing the game, and can't really play the kill your thing plan. Needs to play the I'm going to get a threat in play and end this thing plan.
So Into the Floodmaw would be so broken if you could also save your creatures, but it's opponent only. So Dylan, she's going to take some damage from the Otter and then take a pain with the Underground River. And back to her turn, where she not only survived the early onslaught, but has a better battlefield than Logan right now. So big advantage to Dylan so far.
Yeah, and I think Logan not being able to trigger Cutter last turn is huge. Monumental.
Yeah, found it off sleight of hand almost assuredly. What was that? Go for the throat on top? What just got flashed? I missed it.
Was it a Gix's command?
Oh, I think it might have been a Gix's command. Okay.
I also was, like, not looking at it and then glanced over as we put it face down.
Yeah.
So we're both asleep at the wheel here.
I guess so. Gix command is an incredible card, but it's also uncastable.
Yeah, and it is one that is definitely a little worse. Your opponent knows about it.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, 5 power for Dylan here is pretty nice.
Yeah. And, I mean, we're going to add that Soulstone Sanctuary to the mix here almost assuredly. So could that last card be a land to cast this Gix command? Or is this Dylan has one more good card in hand, Gix command there, and hoping to find a land underneath? If it is indeed Gix command, I don't know if I love keeping it on top. If you're insanely far behind and that's the only way to catch up, well, then you probably also can't keep it on top. But I don't know. Not sure.
Yep, not sure either.
We're going to find out.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm not sure if it is command or not. So,
yeah.
Don't want to speculate on the unknown, you know? All right. A lot of work for Logan here. And this is like what I was saying, where, Dylan can answer the first Cutter. That's great. Get some damage in. Don't let Dylan let Logan get going again,
Yeah.
And this is a lot of damage. 8 power in play. That's 2 turn clock. If Logan's in a spot where he's blocking, that's pretty great too. Logan does have the buyback here on the talent, so Logan does have options, But the pressure from Dylan is lowering those options. Tapping out for 4 to buy back a stock up here and just saying go is a pretty big cost.
How different does this game look if stock up's in hand? We know stock up and Floodmaw are in hand from that one turn where Logan didn't use his mana, and you have the ability to start with a stock up and have a Floodmaw here. Like, that could have been the game, not activating that talent. That's how, at the highest level of Standard's already a format where you kind of win by inches. Modern, there's going to be some games where, all right, my opponent won with Amulet on turn 2. I played 1 land and a cat, and I died. Like, okay, not close. Standard, everything's won by inches. And that one turn could have easily been the cascading moment here where Logan doesn't 2-0 Dylan, and she comes back and wins it. Who knows,
Yeah, and Yeah.
So here comes an attack for 8. We know about the 1 into the Floodmaw and a stock up in hand. Either way, this Otter does not do any great job of blocking, though, right?
Yeah, I mean...
Unless it can get wings. Then it could block the 2/2 and you could bounce something else. That would be okay.
Can Otters do that?
I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if... I guess we're not Red Bull sponsored, but maybe we can get that Otter a Red Bull and then...
Maybe we are now.
Maybe we are now. Yeah,
Phone's ringing off the hook.
You're welcome, SCG. Yeah. Now here's the big turn that we kind of could have had last turn. And I'm starting to believe that was Gix command as, no follow-up play. Good. It would make sense at least. Didn't catch it. I'm sure you saw it, chat, but...
Honestly, body language here, kind of twirling the cards around a little bit, kind of feels like a maybe I shouldn't have topped that. You look down and you see all these blue-black lands. It's very easy to just shortcut and do like, oh, I have obviously guessed that. But with the 2 Verges and no basic land type in play, not able to.
But a pass of the turn from Logan. And now Dylan is getting into combat once again. What is going on, Jim? Is Logan playing around a counter spell, or... We got to have interaction now, right? Otherwise, this doesn't make sense from Logan.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the Fire Annihilation we thought maybe was there earlier could be part of the equation.
Sure.
With the block with the Otter. We saw some sort of like Annihilation into block. All right, there it is. All right, love it. Love looking smart on camera.
These all make a lot of... It's the only thing that would make sense, I feel.
Right, and then we can see a second spell here for the Cutter, and then for the Otter, second Prowess. That wouldn't be bad.
Now we're cooking. Yeah, and there is into the Floodmaw for sure.
Oh, right, yes.
Yep.
It's been a while, but that has been rotting in hand for a long time.
Since turn 1, it got peeked at with Duress.
Yes.
So now 1 mana is tapped. 1 colorless. Probably just a something that doesn't matter. Just it's the correct thing to do. Always float your mana.
Yeah, of course, mana empties at the end of the phase. Used to float through all of combat way back in the day, but no longer.
Hey, back in my day,
yep.
Could block with this Otter. Get 3 damage on it, say damage on the stack, bounce it. Well, maybe not bounce the Otter, but you know what I mean, right?
You can do that.
Either way.
You could stack damage and bounce your Otter.
All right.
That is a legal play.
All right, my favorite play with that. Block with a Spellstutter Spite. Damage on the stack. Misbind click. Tap your lands.
We're going to get me off track here. We're starting talking about Bog Fanatics. So.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, God, yeah, that's a good one. So into the Floodmaw, bouncing that. Here's the Monk. The Otter's up to 3 power, so this can get in the way of the Soulstone Sanctuary. Both of them get in the way. Now, also, there's no ordering blockers anymore. That is a very recent change. So, we just go to damage here, and then you assign that 3 damage to, I don't know, kill one of them. It doesn't really matter.
I would do the Monk, actually, as the Monk's already equipped.
Okay.
But that doesn't really matter, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, there's, in theory, the black source needed for...
But now we need land 5.
Right, but lost 2 lands in combat there. So
yeah, that was a great turn from Logan. Everything makes sense now. That Fire Annihilation play looked fantastic here.
And this is like the setup we've seen. So we saw that weird turn where Logan didn't do anything.
Yeah.
A lot of high level of play is that, where it looks a little weird, trying to set traps, trying to sniff out your opponent's traps.
And they don't always work.
Right, and then trying to weigh the opportunity cost of that.
Yeah.
Opportunity cost for Logan there was huge, not returning stock up.
Yeah.
But try to set up a trap. It didn't work that turn. It did work this turn.
Yep. Totally agree. So now we're getting stocked up. And is the counter spell there? Counter unless you pay 2? This is feeling like desperation.
Yeah, no dragons here.
This is very much feeling like desperation.
Oh, wow, yeah. So what Logan really wants there is any spell that costs 1 to guarantee a Steel Cutter trigger. Found that and another Cutter.
What did we hit? What did we hit? I didn't see what the card was. Okay.
Some ops of Spear.
Perfect.
Yeah, and now Dylan's in trouble because this offensive stance she had is just kind of evaporated,
And now even if it is Gix command, the best thing you can do is, sure, you can kill the monks, you can boost up your Spyglass, make a mini Baneslayer, attack for 3, gain 3, that's fine. that is absolutely fine. But also, if Logan were to have another land, have another spell available, I mean, then you counter Gix command, basically. You don't kill your, Dylan wouldn't kill Logan's creatures. But even if they just die here and Gix command does the thing, like, I would still say advantage to Logan.
Yeah, if Logan was at 6, so it would be 2 attacks from the Siren.
Yeah.
Although, there's a reef there too, I guess.
Sure.
That's interesting, but not
but
quite.
you can block that.
Yeah, not quite all the way there. But
and she has to tap out to animate the reef, so that's not a Gix command on the stack. There is a land, and there's land 5, but, man, just like Logan could have looked back at this moment, at the talent moment, and said, hey, maybe I lost the game here. Dylan, she could have easily looked back and be like, man, this Gix command, it's a card that if it's turn 5 or later, you're like, that's all I want to draw. It's almost always the best card, but it could have been a little brutal here. Cut down on a monk to survive a little.
Yeah, and this is where their rule spells, if that was a Swift Spear or a Slick Shot show off, awesome. When it's a monk, doesn't feel so good.
Not so good. Does it feel better, even if a Corey Steelcutter's in play, if you get an otter? Even though it's the same thing, it's a monk in a hat?
Killing an otter instead of a monk?
Yeah.
Only if you're a monster.
Okay.
What kind of sick person are you?
Okay.
Jeez, Corey, come on, man.
How many monks are you killing?
More than the otters. It's a little cute otter trying to live and just live his little otter life.
Monks are the ultimate of just trying to chill and live, man. I don't know, man.
Listen,
just saying.
We're going to get a call from Red Bull and a call from PETA. All right?
Yeah. Yeah, and a monk monastery. We have some explaining to do by the end of this, for sure. All right, so it looks like Logan's kind of doing the math here. What would make sense? That's in her hand. First and foremost, can I win the game? And still one card available. We know that it's still very likely Gix command. I don't want to hard confirm it if it's not there. But Logan doesn't know that, so Logan does need to play around it. This is a good way to do so. Corey Steelcutter, number 2, Swift Spear. Now this is a lot of attackers. The best that can happen is soaking up 1 damage. This is 5 damage on surface value from Logan. Any spell looks to end this match.
Yeah. I almost think you can't block there, right? I'm sorry, is it? Yeah, because there's 2-4, it's 6 damage, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been lethal.
Right, yeah, so I guess you can't find a win anyway.
So here's Gix command. If Logan doesn't have anything, you could have re-equipped the cutter to make one of these creatures large.
Playing on the one of Gix command is pretty tough, but
I mean, if you're doing nothing else with your mana, why wouldn't you, right?
So the thing is that Dylan goes to 1 there. There's a creature in play for lifelink, but yeah, the haste, so
there we go.
Yeah, Cutter's a good card against Dimir.
Yeah, yep. That is really how it played out. And you know what? I mean, Dimir Midrange keeps having these amazing weekends. And of course, at some point, statistically,